what I'm going to do today, I'm going to do various little things. I did work on the clock as promised, um, and I have got it working. So we're going to go and I'm going to go and exit this. I'm going to go to the clock code that I did. I was being very foolish last time when I was trying to work out how to do this. I was trying to get it so that the actual variable was showing the time that I wanted, which is not the way it goes because the number displayer actually displays the time in the correct format. So it does take your time and divide it into actual proper time. So I didn't need to get this to activate at the right time. So what I've done is I've got a variable here. I set it for 12 o'clock for the first day to start at 12 o'clock. I might change that. You can have that start at whatever day you want, time you want. So that's how many seconds. 720 seconds is 12 o'clock. I've got this set up at the moment at 1.3 seconds per minute. So that's getting close to the fallout time scale. So that we're getting close to 30 minutes to do a full day cycle. Because I'm going to be using this clock to make a day-night cycle. Here's my day variable. So I'm just going to make sure I'm going to set these so that they persist in Dream because they're going to be put in various levels and we want the time to persist across all the levels that we go to. So to show you this working. So here's our clock. So it starts at 12 o'clock because I've set it to start there. And as this timer goes round, so does the time tick up. And you won't be able to see it here because I've set this timer to start at 12 o'clock. But if I just set that back to 0, I'll see that the clock has got these 0 zeros in. They're a little bit wiggly. I do need to sort them out a little bit. I think they're not quite right. Because the clock does not provide me with the 0 situation at the beginning. It's just counting seconds. So I need to put those in. So I've had to put in some sort of calculator business that says if the number's under 10, and then if the number's under 60, so that it will put zeros in the right places so that it looks like a clock. Now what I want to do is I want to use that clock to create a day-night cycle for our world. So I'm going to put in another microchip. I haven't tried making one of these. This is all on the fly. So we're going to say four time zones: morning, daytime, evening, nighttime. So we're going to have to set something up so that with calculators, I think, so that we get the right time zones. So calculator, current value in there now. In fact, let's put a node in, then we only have to do it once. So that's our current time. Right, current time. So at this point, I make a day cycle, and it involves a lot of calculators and the same thing over and over and over again. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm determining how many seconds in the day it is, so what time it is, and I'm then going to use calculators to determine if you're between two certain times. I wrote them all out beforehand to work out which time was what and how many seconds that was, and then put in the calculations So we need two calculations, the upmost and the bottommost, and then put it through an AND. So these are our 4 time zones for morning, daytime, evening and nighttime. So we're just making all those calculations, then putting them into the selector. So when it's true, that selector option will be activated. Right, so A is going to be our morning. Now I've got to make a decision here whether or not to use keyframes on these and have one. Probably is best to have one sky gadget. Though I am not 100% sure you can change the position of this with a keyframe. Let me just check it, because obviously the position of the sun is quite relevant to the time of day, and if I can't change it with a keyframe, then I'm going to have separate sun and sky gadgets for each time of the day. So let's just experiment, because I haven't tried this. Keyframe. Let's put that there, and let's put another keyframe down, and we'll put that there. There we go. So keyframe down, keyframe up. Looks as if we can. That's good. That's good. That's good news. Right, let's just take those out because I don't want those a moment. Right. Okay, so the morning, we're going to have to decide which way is east, which is west, which is north. When I put down a cube, I don't know, what do we think? Do we think that's north that way? So we'll make east that way. We'll make east that way. So we want the sun to be over there. And the sun isn't going to be an orangey colour in the morning, isn't it? So we want it sort of orangey. And the sky needs to be a little bit more orangey in the morning. Like that. That's okay, I think. Right, so let's set up our keyframe then. So we're going to set that there. Set that there. And we're going to set that there. That there. Like so. And maybe a little bit brighter. Not too much. About there. Let's try that. Okay, that's one. Right, then we want our daytime. Let's put another keyframe so it's fresh. Another keyframe. Let's wire that one. Why not? Okay. Daytime. The sun needs to be up here. I want the sky to be quite white, and I want the sun to be a bit more bright, like that, but quite, I don't know, quite white. There we go. Try that. A bit more brightness. Like that. Okay. Put another keyframe in. Alright, this is going to be evening, so we want the sun over this side and low. I want the sun to be a little bit blue, and I want the sky to be a little bit more blue. There we go. I think that's actually not bad. There we go. So that's our evening sky, and you can always, I mean, I'm only going with 4 here, but you can always go with completely different. Right, so our sun, we want to be right now. So we're just finishing off this cycle. I realised at one point that because the cycle loops round, and the night also needs numbers from 0 up to the early morning. So I've had to add an extra one in there for the calculator. But there we are. So just checking out the cycle, and as you can see, it is changing the skybox as it goes through the different times of the day. And then I realised that the night sky was pretty dark, and we needed to put in some stars. So in a minute we're gonna go into the Dreamiverse and grab some of those. So I just grabbed a few star fields. I thought the first one I chose I thought was a little bit too dense with the stars. It looked very, very, very starry. Too many stars. So eventually went with something a little bit less star filled, and put that into the sky, and that is then added in so that that's only visible when it's evening or night time. And that was the day-night cycle sorted. Yeah, it all needs fiddling about with, and changing, and lights coming on and off, and I don't want these on during the day and that sort of thing. At the moment, those stars are only going to be on at night. There we go, they've gone. Ha ha ha. There's our sun over there. I think this is working okay. I'm quite pleased with this. This is working quite nicely. Again, we got this all set up. So this is morning, day, evening, and nighttime. And so you can add. We're going to add sound effects and all sorts of things to this, so that we've got some. So let's have a look at some sound effects. Let's go into sound effect mode. Right, so where's their ambience spots and ambiances? Let's try ambiances. Nighttime we want. So surreal, nature. Let's try nature. This is desert, exotic birds, jungle. Summer night, that it definitely isn't. Forest night, forest day, forest morning, forest calm, forest. This is all foresty. Okay, we'll put forest night on there, and we'll put quite like forest morning for that. I then add some randomized weather. So I've used a timer with a 10-second loop on it. I mean, obviously in the game that's going to be a much bigger loop, and this is going to randomize one of the options from A to J on this randomizer. And I added some special effects to those random sockets. So we added some snow. We tried a few out. I think we ended up with this snow here, and that seemed to be everywhere, so that worked out quite well. So the power to that snow was then added by wire to one of the sockets. So if D is chosen, then it's going to snow. I then added it in so that it's also going to snow on a different socket, on the I socket, and I added some sound effects, some wind, etc., so that I had a difference between it just softly snowing and a bit of a gale. Wandering around. It's 7 in the morning and it starts to snow. Obviously 10 seconds is totally unacceptable. I'm going to have to set it so that it does this for a lot longer and a lot more gaps in between. So it will be hours, not seconds. But as we're going to try this out, it's fascinating how that wind effect for the daytime really affects whether the trees suddenly become alive. It's quite amazing what sound effects can do. Right, I started making save that. I started making some RPG icons. So I think I'll make some more of those now. This is what I started making. So these are all painted icons for various things, and they can be used in a HUD for a UI, and we're going to use, if I can find it, is that thing. So what you do is you add it to the group, and then you put it where you need it to be, like that, and then it doesn't work. Haha. That's if I put a that's interesting. I'm not quite sure how to do it. There is a way of doing it. I thought that was all you had to do, is group it. There's got to be a way of look through head. Oh, that's it. That's what we got to do. Look through head. And then I've got to move this thing so that it's still not in the right place. Right, now. There we go. That's it. That's it. So now it's on the screen in the position that I want it to be in as an icon. So that's the way to do it. The only problem with this is it is affected by light sources. So you can see it's lit up there and it's darker here. So it's not the... I still wish that they'd given us the option of being able to put our images onto the text layer. But this is still cool. And this I then had to go at making some more RPG icons. I've actually done quite a few since this week in my spare time, and this is a much bigger list of little symbols that you can use for your RPGs. But you can see here, this is how you make them. You just take a block and surface snap, use the draw tool, and draw your icon. A bit of trial and error here, trying to get my design, and you should end up with something really usable that you can then link with the new VR head tool, so that you can keep it on the screen easily in the same position. I did attempt to actually put that into the game, but I made a better job of it the following day, so I'm going to leave that clip. There's just me making this drawing here. It's quite intimidating trying to draw live with knowing that there's people watching you. So I didn't do my best drawing, I must say, but it has an effect, it has a look to it, which isn't too bad. There you go. There's a scroll. Just needs a little bit of shading. Had difficulty grabbing that little bit. If you take it off, I found it was easier to grab it off and move it after. There we go. That was the end of day 4. So I started day 5 with a little bit of tidying up. Some things had got moved around a bit while I was making things, and I was sort of adjusting the snow on the roofs, putting the houses a little bit more vertical. They got a little bit on the slant, and I color coded my microchips and put them all in a master chip so that I knew where everything was. Make sure I named everything, and that makes it all a lot neater, and I know exactly where everything is going to be, where all my chips are. I tidied up the snow areas, and I decided to put in a waterfall. I wanted a frozen waterfall coming down the mountain, and so I just sculpted something quickly and just blend cut into that mountain to create this waterfall. It's going to be frozen, and then somebody suggested, why don't I link the colour to the colour of the lake so that it's the same, which is a very good idea. So they did that, and then just altered this about a bit, get a more defined lake, and added a few dead trees. One of the participants in the stream from last time had been busy making things in the same sort of style, and I'd seen their winter village, which had a really nice pier, and I thought actually that would look good on mine too. I could do with a pier, so we're going to add one of those now. I started with one pier that I found in the Dreamiverse, but when I went to cut it up and change it, I discovered that I couldn't lengthen the legs because they'd cut them with really weird extra pieces and made it really quite complicated. So after thinking I'll put new legs in, I thought, oh, put in some logs for legs and things like that. I thought that looked a little bit cumbersome and chunky, and I didn't like the look. So Payoff Wizard, let me know what was the name of the prop you used, and we used that. There's probably all sorts. If I wasn't feeling quite so lazy and quite so hot right now, maybe I would. Oh, it's got the whole thing. Oh, right, okay. So is that supposed to go? Which bit's supposed to go on the land? That's supposed to go on the land, is it? That bit goes on the land, like that, and then that goes out. Look at that. I don't think I want a double dock. Aha! That's better. That's what I want. That's the sort of thing I want. Might make that a bit smaller. Yeah, that's definitely better. We got a little bit more light. That's very yellow. Might change the light to a little bit more of a sort of orangey colour. It's a bit too yellow, I think. More like the light colour that we've got going on in this, what I'm going to call the tavern. I then decided to change all the lighting so it's a little bit orange, and then picked up some gravel and started laying a path from the new pier, the new dock that we put in, and the forest path, so it goes all the way through the village, gives the player an idea of where they need to go. And then I decided that we're going to need a sign. So I made a sign. I grained it with some wood effects and had it so that there was a shield hanging and able to swing freely underneath the signpost. It was a very hot day, so this stream was only an hour and a half. Right, so this is day 6. As in normal days gone past, there's a little bit of tidying up to do. That house had a bit of a gap at the back, so I'll just fill that out. So we've got our pier, and we've got our new sign. So what I thought I would do is look at improving the environment so that it is affected by the wind. So we've got our weather in there, but it's just a sound effect and some snow effects. But ideally what we want is for things to be affected by the wind when the wind is there, and not affected when it's not. So we've got a force supplier here that I've added to the sign that we made, and that's going to blow the sign about when it's windy. So we're just setting up a signal generator to do this, and putting it next to the sign post so that it will blow the sign, and then setting that up so that it will only play when it's windy on our weather randomizer. I also noticed the trees as well. So during this stream we also looked at altering the special effects on the trees. So we've got the signpost waving like we want it to, and then I realised, okay, so I'll have to change one of the trees. The special effects of the trees waving about is all done with just that one slider, which is quite handy. So I decided to take one tree and then put in some keyframes for windy, not windy, very windy, and then we can alter how the trees look. by putting in these keyframes of very windy and not so windy, and putting those into our weather system. But it does mean, because I didn't make these trees myself and I don't have access to the original file to amend, it does mean I'm now going to have to delete all these trees because they're not live clones, and put them all back in now with the chips. So now that chip is now going to affect all these trees. They're all connected now because they're all cloned of that original tree, and now they should all move together or not at all. So we're just trying out with a different weather and just to see what it does, and luckily it all seemed to work how we wanted it to. We've added keyframes to the appropriate weather parts, and also to the day cycle, which also has a wind effect as a sound effect in there. So whenever there's a wind effect, we wanted the trees to move. As soon as we go into the day cycle, we'll see the trees start to move with the wind, and hopefully the sign. There we go, the trees are moving. In fast forward, they look like they're really bouncing in those trees, but it doesn't look quite so bad if you're not in not in fast forward. There's the snow, so now our sign should be moving, which it is. So the day-night cycle now established, it really does work quite well. So that's all cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on our character model. Just going to save that and go into the character model and start making his stat variables. Now this is going to be a major part of any RPG, and that is putting in variables for your player stats. I'm going to keep it simple for now. It's probably going to get more and more complicated, but we need to put it in our character and not in the level. This is quite important, but you don't want to put that microchip actually inside the puppet's microchip. Variables will reset if your puppet dies and respawns, so we want to keep all of these completely separate, and they're also going to be persisting in dreams, so that these variables will be passed with each version of our player character that we put in each level. Because don't forget, we're not actually carrying, when you go from level to level, you have to put a copy of your character in every single level, and we don't want those variables to reset because you haven't made them persist. If you make them persist, then those variables will carry forward. What's really important is things like the clock, that needs to persist and carry forward, and the weather, and all of these variables we're making here. So what we're doing is we're making like little health bars for each of these variables. So I've got temperature, hunger, the village stats, and money at the moment. This might change, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to change the way this looks. I'm going for something very simple right now, but the UI and HUD is up for grabs a bit. I haven't had much experience building UIs and HUDs and making them look really nice and different features and everything. It would depend on a little bit of research and seeing what other games, how they do it. And so we're going with very, very simple right now, but I can see that this is going to be changed going forwards. But I've used I was just showing there the different emoji styles that you can put in. There's hex codes you can put in. There's like Discord emojis, symbols, and there's also the icons that Media Molecule provide. So there's lots of options of how to get emojis, little images, and of course we've got now the VR headset gadget, so that allows you to put things on the screen and have it move around with the camera much easier than it was before. So we're going to be able to make our own customized UIs. But the experiment I did the previous day suggests to me that I need to work on it a lot more, do a little more practice before I can create my own HUD with my own images, my own designs. So at the moment we're just going to use text gadgets and emojis. And it's quite amazing how many are available actually. If you want to find out the full list, if you go to dreamschool.co.uk and type in emoji, there is an article that I wrote about adding emojis to the images to the text layer, to text displayer, and there's links to lots of pre-made lists. Not all of them will work. Some of the emojis have not been initialized in Dreams. Some of the more controversial ones, I guess. I don't know about aubergines and things like that, but you know what I mean. Not everything is available. There's also a lot of kanji characters available as well, Japanese characters. So if you're creating something in Japanese or Chinese or whatever, I'm sure there are options to get hold of those with the proper hex codes. It's just a matter of finding a site that's got them on. So this was quite a long part of day 6, was building this UI and HUD. It's not the most riveting of things to watch, especially when I was getting a little frustrated because for speed I had copy and pasted a lot of it, and it turned out that that was not necessarily the best idea because it was carrying forward information that I didn't want it to. So it took a while to get it to actually put things up, and then there was a lot of getting the right layers and things like that set up. So there we go. I've put it in our, I've updated our character, so now we've got our HUD, and then I decided I wanted to fiddle about with the clock, because I wanted the clock to actually slowly lower rather than just pop into existence. I tried a few different methods of trying to get it to work. I think I would have to build the clock and its background and everything all in one gadget. That's the trouble with building things in like 2-hour slots. I might have to redo the clock entirely so that it's much a smoother effect, and that the text moves with the text box, because at the moment it doesn't, because the text box behind the clock is not part of the clock microchip, if that makes any sort of sense. So I'm going to have to manipulate that and do that again, I think, because it wasn't that effective. I also decided that I didn't like the way his top was looking, and I just wanted something simpler and give him a little fur collar. Also helps in the night, so it's a little bit brighter. He shows up a bit better. So there we go. That was basically what we did on week 2. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. As always, the stream is on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. and there will be a summary on Mondays where I do this type of thing with time lapse and show you what we built throughout the day. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in your dreams.